Hello and happy February. I hope that you are having a good 2022 so far. I have the house to myself for a bit, so I thought I would jump on here for an impromptu video. That means that I grabbed everything that I am working on, reading, loving right now, and threw it on the couch here, so I hope I'm not forgetting anything like I did in my last video, but yeah, I have a lot to share with you. So like I said, I did forget at least one thing last time. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into this kind of mess. I will try to at least keep everything in their specific category, you know, depending on what craft it actually takes to make them. So my first finished object was actually supposed to be my last video, but I forgot him because I just kind of threw that one together too. And that is Cotton, my daughter's Wild Rabbit. The pattern is by Claire Garland, who has a shop called Dots Pebbles Knits on Etsy. I've read it and said it 100 times, but I'm always afraid I'm going to get those words out of order. Anyways, there'll be a link as always. But this is the Wild Rabbit, and he's been a huge hit. My daughter loves him. It was such a fun pattern to make. It's one of those patterns that works up super quick because you make so much progress quickly. So it's really addicting and you just want to see, you know, what it's going to look like. And you don't know exactly what you are knitting up, especially if it's like your first time doing something like this. You don't know exactly what the shaping is going to result in. So it's really fun to just watch it come together, and it makes it more addicting because it's just an exciting puzzle that you're working up. But yeah, I really love this one. And next up, I have promised her the teeny tiny rabbit, the tiny bunny, which I have to get started on because I promised it to her like 2 months ago, so I have to do that. I used the recommended yarns for this one, which was an assortment of Drops yarn. So I believe I used Drops Flora, Nord, and Kid Silk. She has you kind of work different yarns together to add like a speckled, just add some more interest to the bunny. It's a little tricky to get in the US, so I ordered it from Etsy, but I really enjoyed using the yarn. It's really beautiful and it was so affordable, besides shipping, but I just think that it was really great, and I am going to try to get my hands on more of it because I'm addicted to making these animal patterns now. Next up, I have a work in progress, and that is a Nature's Cardigan by Ozetta Knitwear. I have so much of this done. I have been monogamously knitting on this one, so I haven't really been touching anything else knit-wise, but I am just really itching to have this done and ready to wear right now because this is the ideal weather to wear it in. I'm using the Cascade 220 worsted weight for this. It's the Heathers line, and it is the color Japanese Maple. It's so pretty. So I'm really loving it so far. It is knit bottom up and it's worked flat, so you do have to purl unless you want to knit it in the round and steek it and everything. I didn't want to take my chances there. I have some concerns, but I'm trying to stay optimistic because I haven't washed or blocked it yet, so there is a lot that I am not completely sure about yet. I wanted to make sure that this was not form-fitting at all. I really like the boxy look that it has in the sample pictures, and I usually don't wear cardigans buttoned, and I wanted to with this one, so I went with a size large, and I usually go between a medium and large. Some patterns, you know, vary, but for the most part, if I want something that is more form-fitting, I'll go medium. If I want room to breathe, I'll go large. But I need to learn more about contouring things for my body because I tend to just size up, and while that works for some parts of my body, it doesn't work for everything. I've been playing with the sleeves. I had an entire sleeve knit up that I ended up ripping back because it was a little too bulky, so I'm going to go through and do the decreases more often. I'm still in the stage where I'm too scared to alter patterns too much because I'm afraid it's going to ruin the whole thing, but then at the same time I'm a lot less likely to wear it if it has a weird fit. So I'm going to work with this and hope I don't have to rip back. But I already love this pattern, and even though I'm a little nervous about the outcome of this one, I'm already planning ones that I want to make in the future, because I think I would really like to make one maybe a size smaller in a brown colorway to kind of wear more open. I really love the structure of the neck, and I like it open a lot more than I thought I would too. So I'm going to play with this, and hopefully I don't have to go back and size down, but if I like it enough for what it is, I'm going to keep it and then probably make another one that I can size down. And when I finish that, I can officially check it off of my Make 9, which I will probably make a graphic to keep track of. Speaking of which, I feel like my next cast on will probably be my Yara shawl. It's taken a lot to not cast it on already, but I have so many like works in progress just kind of sitting around. But I get a little obsessive when I get that way, and like this one, I just almost burn myself out working on something just so I can kind of clear my needles and give myself the justification to start something new. And I don't necessarily need that as long as I have a cable and needles free. So I will probably cast on that Yara shawl really soon because I'm really looking forward to it. So I did manage to find something to crochet on. Recently I was messing with the idea of maybe doing a granny square cardigan for my daughter, and I saw this pattern on Etsy called the Mini Cat Square by Pony McTate. And as you can see by the picture, it's for a pillow, but I automatically thought of my daughter, who is a huge fan of cats, and decided that that would be a really fun project to try to make into a cardigan for her. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that yet because I haven't successfully made one, so I'm hoping that it will be as simple as just piecing the squares together. I've looked into patterns for actual granny square ones and baby sizes that I could maybe just grade up or add more squares to, or triangles when needed, but I think that this will be a really fun process to learn how to do, and my daughter will be so excited, I think, when she sees that. So that is something that I've been working on after she goes to bed at night, or if I have a little free time, I will work a granny square, and I have a few done. Now these are some of the first granny squares that I'm actually making, so they do vary a lot, but what is nice about the pattern is that it's perfect for kind of a messy look because you can use scrap yarns of varying weights and color. I plan on using a lot of different kinds of yarns for some different texture and just to shake it up a bit. And for the fun part, I can't get over how cute they are. I did have some problems with the pattern, but it's mostly because I'm such a beginner with crochet. The instructions for the pattern are also in UK terms, so they have a translation chart, but it would throw me off every once in a while. I did find a lot of really helpful tutorials on YouTube for this one, and for while I was really trying to master the granny square, because there's some that are done by different techniques, some that are fuller, And I plan on adding different, maybe embroidering on some of these or adding some different embellishments. And I've been working on variations for the cats. One like this, where I added a little white belly. And I found a helpful tutorial on YouTube for this one. And I still don't have this one. I might have to redo this one because you can see I kind of messed up here, but I guess you could pass those off as stripes. I honestly don't think she'll care. I think she'll be too excited to have a cardigan full of cats, honestly. Yeah, these are mostly sport weight, and that is what the pattern called for, but I also wanted to incorporate some worsted because I feel like that's what I have the most of scrap-wise. Somewhat. I don't have a huge scrap stash, really, because I try to just buy for each individual project, but it will be fun to kind of see what I can add to it, see how long it takes to acquire all the different yarn and try different things. You can already see some of the variation in the cats. This one I just paired with mohair to make it look fuzzier. And I also have some random yarns at times. Like my daughter picked out this really furry yarn once and we haven't really decided what to do with it. And it's a thick one, but I'm hoping maybe I can get just like a small, really furry cat out of that one. And it'll be fun to play around with some of the yarns that I used for some of the animal patterns, because that will be perfect to just add a lot of different size and texture, and I'm so excited to see how this one knits up. It's so cute. So I think it's time to officially give cross stitching its own place in my videos because I have fallen hard. I have a lot of plans. I've really been enjoying stitching, and I'm kind of in a whirlwind right now where I'm watching a lot of FlossTube and getting a lot of ideas for patterns and trying to learn as much as I can about cross stitching. So I thought I would share a little about it with you. First of all, it has given me the excuse to do some really fun organization. So I inherited some embroidery floss, and actually in this container. It's aged a bit, but a lot of the embroidery floss was on cardboard bobbins and were kind of all over the place because I got them a long time ago. I couldn't part with them because deep down I know myself and I know if I get rid of something to do with a craft, it will come back to bite me in the butt. I have loved going through all of this, and I don't have them all on new bobbins quite yet, but I have recently bought more floss because I've been starting new patterns. And when I started, this was pretty full. And I've recently started more projects or planning for projects, so I've had to purchase more. And yes, it is really fun to have an excuse to buy new stuff for projects. But I am still trying to have that same attitude about only purchasing what I need, when I need it, and hopefully making things work and to fill in the gaps, because I don't feel like I need every color that there is. But yes, my collection has grown exponentially over the past month maybe. But I wanted to share my first big project that I'm doing, and this is one that I found on Etsy by the X-Stitchery shop, and it is just called West Highland Terrier. I have a West Highland Terrier, and I saw this one and really liked the tones. I thought it would look really nice with everything else on our walls and would just be a really cute nod to him. So this is what I have done so far. And it's a pretty big one. It's 10 by 14, which is really big for me. After watching FlossTube, it's not that big. But for me and for somebody very new to this, I just did a couple of the mini ones to get back into this. So this is a huge project for me, and I am learning so much. It'll be so crazy when this is finished because there's already a difference in some of the stitches as you go down, because these are still like there's a lot of knotting and lumps behind some of this, but I'm already improving a lot. I'm hoping that it's not going to be crazy noticeable, but I don't mind that much because it's a project that I'm learning on, and it's going to mean a lot for a lot of different reasons. I also have a piece that I am about to start, and it is from Antique Stitch on Etsy, and it is a Victorian dollhouse cutaway. And this one I'm just excited to have a lot of fun with. I love dollhouses. I love Victorian / Georgian architecture, and this one just looks like it's going to be so much fun. It's really colorful, and there are a lot of really cute little details to it, and it will be a nice palette cleanser from my other one, since that one is a lot of just filling in a background right now, not really doing too much articulation or real imagery. It's just to get kind of a painterly look. So that one is very different, and I think will be very nice to go to when I need a break from this other one. I will be doing that one on 18 count Aida, mainly because that is the one that I bought from Hobby Lobby that will fit it. I also got another pattern that is a history sampler from an Etsy shop called Madison Patterns. That one also looks like a lot of fun, but it is huge. It is 360 by 480 stitches, and it is originally on a 14 count Aida, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do for that one yet. I was thinking maybe doing a higher count Aida to make it a little smaller, but at the same time, I am hoping to make these into project bags. That is also kind of up in the air because I don't feel like I see anybody make them in a project bag, so I'm going to have to do some research to see if that, like, why, and if that's not a good idea. But I think that that will be the best use for them, because some of these I wouldn't necessarily want to put up. Maybe, I guess it would kind of depend on when I finish them, but I don't think that all of them will fit the aesthetics of my house. But I want to do projects that are a lot of fun, and I don't want to worry about what will look good with decor or worry about storing different things. So I'm hoping maybe with some good lining, I will be able to play around and make some project bags, because that is something else that I'm in need of and wanting to try to make on my own. So I'm hoping that that will be a nice crossover. I've just been really excited about starting on that new venture and seeing what comes of that. I don't know if it's going to be something like knitting that stays around a long time, or my crafts that, you know, I pick up once a year or once every other year just when I feel like it. But speaking of which, I recently needed some stitch markers. I have just been using like the little rubber band hair ties because we have so many of those, and my daughter wears them like once every 3 months. I like using them because there's so many of them. It's nice to use them for kind of counting out stitches as I'm casting on, and projects with a lot of like raglan increases, just so I can be extra careful. But I wanted some nice stitch markers, and I've been losing a lot of my other ones. I knew that if I put a little more effort into them, that I would probably hold on to them a little better, be more responsible, hopefully. And I've had these for a little while now because I wanted to test them out. I got the supplies a while back at Hobby Lobby. I got some earring findings with a clasp so you could easily open and close them, as well as some charms. I already had some jump rings and the tools I needed laying around because one of my random hobbies that I pick up once every blue moon is jewelry making. And so I used some jump rings to connect them. So they were super easy to make and they came together really quickly. So I have used them a little bit and some of the plating has worn a bit. I don't know if you'll even be able to see it there, but not terribly. And while I had everything out, I also played with some of the other stuff I had in my collection for making jewelry. For this one, I just used a pearl and some silver that I stamped and torch fired a long time ago. And I couldn't really decide on anything to use this piece in, so it's just been lying around, but it makes a really pretty stitch marker. I have a lot that I am reading right now. I didn't finish much in January, but I can already tell that this is going to be a different year because I'm reading a lot of what I missed last year, which was my big fantasy books and character series and books that just take a little more time, at least until the Women's Prize is announced, which is really exciting too. But the first finish of the year was Jade City by Fonda. I thought that this was fantastic. I really enjoyed this and I couldn't wait to dive back in every night. It is a fantasy about a crime syndicate family. The magic system uses Jade and there is a power struggle among clans. It is more of a modern feeling fantasy, but it has a lot of really fun action, character writing, and family dynamics. I don't like saying too much about what I'm reading because I like to go in not knowing very much, but I would really recommend this. I also finished the second book in the Will Trent series by Karin. Oh, what was it called? They all have like one word names. I think it was Fractured. I've been reading them on my Kindle, so I don't look at the name much, but I really enjoy Karin Slaughter's writing. I read Pretty Girls last year, or was it maybe the year before, but was thoroughly disturbed by it and took a break and came back and read Triptych and loved that one, fully disturbed. But I liked the characters and that it was going to be a continuation of Will Trent, the kind of agent in that one. So decided to see that series through. I finished Fractured and I enjoyed it, and I believe the next book that I was going to start is a crossover with the characters of her other series. I want to say Grant County, which I haven't read, so I've decided to go back, try that one out so I can get to know the character before I jump back into this series. And I'm in too deep, but I'm really enjoying them. I'm also reading Jade War, the continuation of Jade City. I believe that the trilogy is now finished. So, and I've heard good things about all of them, so I am really excited that the story supposedly keeps getting better. I'm not very far into this one yet, but I am still enjoying it, still loving all the characters, loving her writing. It's so good. I am also working through The Fall of Babel by Josiah Bancroft. This is my favorite series right now, and this is the final book in, I guess, the saga. This is the fourth book, and I'm loving it, loving the experience. I'm also sad that it's about to end. I have about this much left of it, so I've been really savoring this one. It has been great. I have no problem jumping back into these books. I will probably go back and start the first one again after I finish this one for just kind of a refresher and maybe ease the pain of finishing a series. Yeah, I'm going to continue savoring that and knowing that I can console myself by going back to the beginning. So I also have a few audiobooks. two that I have finished recently. The first one being the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I think that's the title, but it's by Grady Hendrix. You've probably heard of it or seen it. I did this kind of half audiobook, half Kindle. I really enjoyed this one. There are some frustrating choices, but they're very human, and there are consequences for those choices. It also feels like a satire on the genre and those kinds of books, because there are a lot of tropes from horror that it kind of pokes fun at or comments on. And I was expecting something a little more balls to the wall, I guess, as far as like when there's kind of a build up to something, usually everything goes sideways. I went in expecting something a little more action packed, and I don't want to undersell it because there's definitely a lot of tension, definitely a lot of great stuff, but it was a lot more grounded than I was expecting, and human and psychological. But yeah, overall, really enjoyed that one. I've also been listening to The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. This is my first Robin Hobb book, and I'm really loving her writing. I sometimes have issue with classic fantasy, or when more modern writers try to capture the feeling of classic fantasy, but I think I have found it that I have been looking for when it comes to marrying those styles in Robin Hobb. Her writing is fantastic. Great character work, a rich world that I can kind of believe and picture and ties in very easily with the real world. I also love the real medieval feel of it because I like reading books about that era in history anyways. So this has been such a fun read for me, and I'm really excited because I know she has a lot of work. So I'm really excited to see how the rest of this book plays out and whether or not it keeps me excited enough to come back for more. I think that is all. I feel like I've been talking forever, but it was really nice to be able to just sit down and chat for a little bit, messy or not. I hope that you have a great month and that you are enjoying everything that you make. As usual, feel free to share what you are making as well. I hope that you have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you soon.